What up all my Cosmic Card friends, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing a deck profile for the game Riftrunners, covering my Chibi, the Gremlin of Destiny deck. This is a tempo control style deck built around the Chibi Monarch effect, where the effect says you can rally deploy Chibi Gremlin of Destiny from your hand using 3 tier 1 mage fighters in the void and or exile as rally material, once per round. That is an extremely strong effect, especially in conjunction with a couple of cards that we have in this pile of mage cards here. We'll be starting with the level 1s. Tiefling Alchemist Yomi. She's an ice mage with 15 attack and 5 defense, but what we care about here is the effect. Pull a copy of Yomi Sus Concoction from the deck or void. Hard once per turn. We're playing 3 copies of her for the max copy limit. Then we're playing Star Student Fleshy. Her effect is, if this fighter is normal deployed, click deploy a tier 0 mage fighter from the hand. This is great just to get your tempo ahead and start early. So we're playing 3 copies of her as well. Then this is one of my favorite cards in the deck, Yomi Arcane Jester. Effect, discard a mage, action, or counter card, and exile a tier 0 through 2 fighter in the same column as this fighter while negating the effect. Soft once per turn. Great tempo item. Awesome to just help keep you in the game and to get rid of some problem things. Unfortunately, I am only playing 2 copies because I only have 2 copies, but I'm going to try to get my hands on another copy. Then we're getting into some of the techie level 1s. Dungeon Diver Yuno. Effect, if this fighter is destroyed in battle, pull 1 differently named tier 1 mage fighter or mage action, counter, or equipment card from the deck. So this is great just to get blown up and go into another option. That's why I've been thinking about maybe upping her to 2. And then we have Kieran of the Grove. Effect, you can rally deploy tier 4 mage fighters from the hand using 3 mage action or counter cards from the void as rally materials. Passive. So with some of our action and counter cards, this can help us cheat out our tier 4 as well, on top of what the Chibi Gremlin of Destiny Monarch effect is. So that's why we play 2 of her. Then moving in the tier 2s, we have Sea Witch Riona. Effect, if an opponent's face down action or counter card shares a column with a tier 1 through 4 mage fighter you control, this fighter can rally deploy using that action or counter card as rally material while negating its effects. Again, we're just playing tempo control. We want to keep our opponent from keeping up with us. We want to deny them as much resources as possible while just going in and applying as much pressure as possible throughout the game. So we are playing 2 of her. Then we have Stellar Healer Milky. Effect, quick deploy a mage lore fighter from the void and expand a rally token from this fighter. She's more of kind of a catch back up card, but with being tempo control, sometimes we need to catch back up. Sometimes this can help put you over the edge and set you up for your next combos. So we're playing 2 of her. Then we have Professor Wander. Effect, expand a mage or dark rally token from this card to target and reveal up to 2 face down action or counter cards from your opponent's control that your opponent controls, and to destroy 1 of them. Soft once per turn. Same thing. If we know our opponent is playing scary back row threats, we can take care of it with this. If we think our opponent has something that could stop us from getting ready to pop off, same thing, we could play a little safer, go into Professor's Wander, and then activate the effect. But we are only playing 1 of it because it's not as important as a lot of the other cards in deck. Then we have Magical Girl Chibi, the tier 3 hand effect. Quick deploy this fighter and equip it with a copy of Chibi's Crystal Scythe from hand. This is great. I love this. This card and another card is just a turn 1 tier 3 on the board ready to go if you draw both. Great just to start with heavy aggressive tempo with a lot of cards that can help back it up, as well as the way we just can kind of stabilize and stall against our opponent sometimes, that we can wait to pull the 2 pieces to play this so it doesn't really hurt us. You'll notice we are playing max copies of that. That may seem a little unintuitive, but I'll explain a little later in the video why we're playing max copies. Then we have the mainstay of the deck, Chibi Gremlin of Destiny. This card is honestly bonkers. It has a few effects here, so I'll read them off. Effect 1. This fighter can only be rally deployed using mage material. That's why the entire deck is mage, all the way down to the fodder. Effect 2. This fighter gains 2 attack for every action or counter card on the field. Passive. So you'll see, we'll explain more why that's good with one of the cards in the deck. And then 3, this is the best effect underneath this card, in my opinion. Expand a rally token from this card and exile a card on the field. Hard once per turn. You pop one thing on their field 3 times in a row while you're swinging a minimum of 31 at them. Most decks aren't going to be able to keep up with that. It's very easy to get into this because of how quickly we can cycle our ones and also stall on our ones to set this up with our Monarch effect and just kind of take the game almost every time from there. And I've done it 90% of the time without a hiccup unless I just absolutely hit the hardest brick of my life. And we're playing max copies as that. It makes sense because we just want to be able to see it and get into our hand as fast as possible. That is all the fighters outside of the fodder deck. So moving on to our action, counters, and equipments. Starting with the tier 3 combo card, Chibi's Crystal Scythe. This is an equipment card. Equipment, equip weapon mage, effect line 1. This card can only be equipped to tier 1 through 4 Chibi fighters, Chibidoki fighters, and tier 1 through 3 mage lore fighters. So this can only be equipped to our Chibis. Effect line 2, during your action phase, destroy action or counter card your opponent controls while negating its effect, soft once per turn. The equipped fighter cannot attack after using this effect. Another amazing tempo piece, because if you get the tier 3 and the tier 4 on the board, that's 2 pops a turn and you're still swinging 31 damage into something, if not face. And then for a nice little additive bonus, it does give 6 attack, which is just sweet push over the edge, because in conjunction with the tier 3, that makes her a total of 29 before any other boosts, 2 less than the tier 4. And these 2 cards let you cheat her out. That's absolutely insane. We were playing max copies of that because same thing, we just want to see this in the tier 3 as often as possible. We are then playing Orb of Meowgic. This is an action continuous card for mages. Line 1, increase the attack of all mage fighters you control by 3. That's a passive. So again, in conjunction with the tier 3, that makes her a 32 and then makes the tier 4 a 34. That's just crazy. Those numbers hit hard. And then line 2, if you control at least one mage fighter, your opponent must reveal every card they draw from the main deck. This is also great for tempo control because we're getting hand information and knowing what our opponent is playing and knowing what they have potential to use against us. Why wouldn't we want to use this? We're on max copies of that as well. Then one of the biggest lynch keys of this entire deck is the Yomi Sus Concoction. Like we said, one of the Yomi's card to help you pull this, on top of we do play max copies, so we can just get this card and use it as much as possible. Action Mage, exile a mage fighter you control, and quick deploy a mage fighter up to 1 tier higher from the main deck or hand, hard once per turn. Take 10 burn damage if this effect resolves. Now, the first time I read this, admittedly, I was like, ooh, 10 burn damage because our life total is 90. That hurts. That's 10% of your life total. But then I remembered this game is a better version of Yu-Gi-Oh, but it's still Yu-Gi-Oh at its core. Life points are a resource. You can still win the game with 1 life point. This cycling, all 3 of these cards automatically set up your Monarch effect if you have 3 and you go through 3 turns. You can stall on defense and trying to live through what your opponent swings at you, and then clap back with the biggest swing back, setting up quickly. To help us get the Yomis back is also, again, another one of my most favorite cards, Lost Archive. Lost Archive is an action mage card that says pull up to 2 mage, action counter, or equip cards from your void, hard once per turn. You cannot pull a copy of Lost Archive with this effect. We can get 2 Yomi Sus Concoctions back. We can get Crystal Scythes back if we need to. Things like that. Or any of our other more techie scenario cards, because since this is a tempo control list, we do need some tech outside of just our fighters and those effects that rely on for the normal play cycle. And we need some protection, and that's where these cards come into play. We have Turn of the Tide, counter mage. If your opponent controls 2 or more fighters while you control none, quick deploy a tier 3 mage fighter from the hand, hard once per turn. That is strong, but when I was playing more copies than the single copy we're playing now, it didn't come up as much as I wanted, and honestly, I just crystal scythe with the level 3 more, or tier 3 more often than not, because I had it, and a lot of times you just get it, you see it easily. Then we're playing the Namestay counter called Swift Bonk. Counter, if your opponent's tier 1 through 3 fighter declares a direct attack on your HP, reveal a tier 3 through 4 Chibidoki fighter in your hand, negate the attack, and return the attacking fighter to the hand. This is great. This is amazing. I need to get a third copy and put a third copy into the deck, because that's another reason we play 6 Chibis in total, so that we can live that effect as often as possible, because often or not, especially once we go to 3 copies, we'll see it, we'll use it, and it will just help swing the tide and change the tempo of the game. Then we have Decisive Transformation counter. If a tier 1 fighter you control is targeted in battle, negate the attack and click deploy a idol or mage tier 3 fighter of the same element from your hand, using this card and the targeted fighter as rally material. We only play one of this because both Chibi cards are ice. It's not often that you'll always be playing into an ice deck or a deck that has teched in ice cards. So we only play one of this, and honestly, I think I may get rid of it for Swift Bonk, because it doesn't come up as much as I wish it did. And then just a great generic counter card that I think most decks, if they have the room, should be playing in Riftrunners 100%. Outbreak Zero. Counter. If a fighter you control is destroyed by an attack, reduce the attacking fighter's total attack to 0 until your opponent's next start phase. If this card is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, target up to 2 fighters on your opponent's side of the field and lower their total attack to 0 until your opponent's next start phase. This is crazy. If this gets popped by something, you get twice the value, and if anything, once you lose, you basically get to keep a guaranteed kill on board plus damage to the face. And this is one of the best counter cards in the entire game. Unfortunately, the list is kind of tight the way it is, and I think 2 is just enough with Swift Bonk, because we'd rather just be negating anyways instead of losing a fighter, but it's very strong. This deck consistently has been winning me games against multiple people, against multiple play styles. I think the mage deck, as long as we continue to get good support throughout released sets, is going to be a top contender within the meta at all points. I'm excited for the competitive scene to start flourishing and come together, so we can really start seeing the meta come together, and so I can get some good testing out of this deck. I do have a side deck put together, but it's more of a meme joke that we'll just do a quick blast over instead of going in depth into, because I just haven't found a need to have a real side deck for this type of list. Milky Gentle Matriarch. Haha, funny. You can tell why it's in here. It's just to have it. Tiefling Alchemist Yomi. It kinda is okay. It's just in here to take up a side deck slot because, haha, the deck is Yomi, and you can kinda also see. Monarch Effect. Shuffle 2 mage action cards from your hand into the deck and pull 1 action card from the deck. It can do things. It can lean into more of the tempo, but most of this wants to pay off into playing tempo to get Chibi out. So we want to be able to cheat Chibi and use all the other things to set up that Monarch Effect. And then this is the real side deck here, but still it's not super ironed out, and it's more so if you just need to pump bigger numbers and go face nonstop. That's what this side deck does. It's almost a full deck swap. We have Time Ripper Eevee as the Monarch. Monarch Effect. All mage lore fighters you control inflict piercing damage, so that's really good. Fiend Scepter. It goes in. You take some of the other action and counter cards out. Equip Weapon. This card can be equipped to any lore fighter and increases attack by 3. If your fighter is destroyed in battle, add 1 tier 1 mage or dark fighter from your deck to your hand. So good to just keep up resources. And then from here, it's just simple. Lore fighter, big number. Lore fighter, big numbers. Lore Fighter, big number. A second copy of Turn the Tide, because just in case we maybe want to side that in. Mira the War Mage, just because she is one of the best, and I don't know where the card went, but I pulled one of her cards. That's like one of the hard to get cards, and I thought about maybe playing with it, but probably won't. This has been my Rift Runners deck profile breakdown for my build of the Chibi Gremlin of Destiny, or what I'm calling it, Chibi Chaos Grab Bag, because it's just a ton of fun. The whole time you're going to have your opponent wondering what else you have up your sleeve and how you're going to keep them in check, and it's just super simple. And the last thing to cover is the field layout. Great field layout. 4 front row, 2 back row, and 3 of your back. Just enough of everything, honestly, to keep up. You can flood the field out, because surprisingly you can flood pretty quickly with this deck, and just enough of your back row available of the 3 of the 4 out of it to set up, get Scythe out, get 1 or 2 Meowgic Orbs out after you do the Yomi's combo to just get your thing set up. You'll essentially always want to just keep 1 slot open to be able to use Yomi's and Lost Archives and keep those loops going. Super simple deck. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like stuff like this, or you want to see me cover more decks from different games or from Rift Runners, let me know down in the comments. I would love to keep doing stuff like this. Let me know if I got anything wrong, because we also know at the end of the day, I'm dumb. But I love you guys because you still love me. I hope you have a great day, awesome week, awesome month. This has been Cthulhu's little brother, and I hope to see you next time.